Hey guys, Void here. I just thought I'd do a quick little video talking about Survival Hunter, some ideas I've had, some general runes, some builds, maybe some pre-raid bis, even though we don't know what the new items are yet. Just some ideas of what could maybe help going into Season of Discovery. And before I get into the video, I just want to mention I do apologize for my previous one when it comes to DPS Warrior. My first time making YouTube videos, I wasn't there with all the knowledge. There was a few mistakes, but I promise this one will be better. So just keep watching and I will make it up. But I think let's just get straight into it. We'll start off with the runes. I feel like the choices are pretty obvious for Melee Hunter, apart from one. So we'll start with the legs. I'll let you pause here if you want. These are all the brand new leg runes. But the one that we're most likely going to go for, being as we are going to be going for Melee Hunter, is going to be Flanking Strike. You and your pet deal simultaneous instant 100% melee damage. Afterwards, your Mongoose Bite and Raptor Strike deal 10% increased damage for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. And Raptor Strike also gains a 20% chance to reset your Flanking Strike. Now, I haven't been able to find the actual physical mana costs of Flanking Strike. I haven't been able to find any VODs. I've been looking for a bit. I can't seem to find it. I doubt it would be that high compared to Raptor Strike. Raptor Strike at level 25 is about 45 mana. So it's really not that much. But Flanking Strike's a given. The rest are not going to help us in melee. And that's what we're going for, is Melee Hunter. So hands, again, it's a really obvious one. We don't want Chimera Shot. We don't want Explosive Shot. Beast Mastery, maybe for leveling, could be pretty handy. You could just play as a Melee Hunter and then have a Beast Mastery there. And just having the pet taunt. But then, of course, that would require you to not take a Pacific Chest Rune that I'll talk about in a minute. But Carve, it's just a cleave. What else do you want? Basically just copying Warrior with it. That's all it really is. Chest is the main one that I think there may be some kind of wiggle room with. I guess it depends on how much damage your pet is doing. So the two options I see us having here are either Lone Wolf or Master Marksman. So Lone Wolf increases our damage by 25% when we don't have a pet, which on paper sounds really good. But when we look at Flanking Strike, we see that our pet also deals the instantaneous damage. So when it comes down to this at the end game, it's going to depend on how much damage your pet is actually doing. Because if not, Master Marksman will be pretty strong. 5% crit is not something to joke about. More than likely, Lone Wolf will be stronger. But depending on how much damage your pet's doing, I could see Master Marksman maybe being better just through synergy with Flanking Strike by still having a pet up. And there's also just the general utility of having a pet. So that's my quick ideas for the runes. If you guys have got any other ideas, maybe I'm wrong about the Master Marksman thing, just drop it down in the comments. I respond to every single comment. And I'm more than happy to talk about it with you. So let's get on to the talents. These ones again, I see two main builds here. The first one I'm thinking of is more of just a straight normal survival build, and that's for one talent in particular. We'd go down normally, get our monster slaying, our humanoid slaying, 3% increased damage against each, just typically just good. But then here's the big one. Savage Strikes increases your critical strike chance of Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite by 20%. We don't care much for Mongoose, it requires us being attacked, doesn't help us, but 20% crit on Raptor Strike is huge. Even though we're at such a low level, we have so little crit as a hunter. So little. Because our scaling for melee crit is just bad. Or just crit in general at hunter. They require a lot of agi to gain crit. 20% at level 25 is going to be massive. That is going to be the only thing keeping this spec alive. So going down, 5 points in survivalists, 2 more points in improve wing clip. I guess you could put them in entrapment if you really want to. Maybe for some utility in BFD. I don't see it being super useful. Personally, I'd probably go for just wing clip. We'll get 5 points in survivalist. You can drop a point for deterrence if you want some survivability. Clever traps is maybe a DPS increase. If you're like pulling mobs back and you're doing out of combat, I could see that. You know, if you want to really min-max, then you could do that. But mainly we're doing it for sure-footed. Increases your hit chance by 1% and reduces the chance of movement impairing effects by 5%, but who really cares about that? It's more the 1% hit. Because, of course, we're playing a melee hunter, we can't play human, or we can't play orcs, we can't use axes, and we can't use swords. So we're either playing troll and whatever else it is on horde. I think it's just troll. Don't play horde. Or night elf or dwarf. So hit is going to be big friend, good friend. We like it. Now, the other build that I was thinking about is possibly if you aren't going for a lone wolf build, if you want to try maybe build into your pet more, then there is always the possibility of going down into Beast Mastery. So we could drop 5 points into Enduring Training, 3 points into Thick Tide, 2 points into Improved Revived Pet, then of course going for 5 points in Unleashed Fury, or 4 if we want Bestial Swiftness. If you really want it, it's up to you. Or Pathfinding, again, if we're just going for pure damage, I'd say Unleashed Fury, and then 1 point in Ferocity. Only downside with this being, of course, is we are losing that big 20% crit. I don't see going all in on Bestials and using Beasts and using your pet being as strong just because of this 20% crit and how it's going to work with Flanking Strike. It could work out, it could not. I feel like it's one of these two builds. More than likely not Lone Wolf going deep into survival than not using Lone Wolf, getting the 5% bonus crit and going all the way down into Beast Mastery. That's just how I see it. So now let's talk about pre-raid Beasts. There's two options that we can kind of go for. AP or Agi. Now, some of these way ups, I don't know how this is going to work. This is more just my general thinking. Of course, Hunter wasn't exactly really built for melee damage scaling. So that's where you can see here that I have such horribly low crit, because Agi scaling for Hunters is really bad. You do not have a lot of Agi scaling. I believe it's about 59 per crit or something. It's insane at level 60. It's crazy amounts of Agi required. And strength only gives you 1 melee attack power. So this means that Agi is worth a little bit of crit, 1 AP, and strength is just worth 1 attack power. So our main stat is still going to be Agi. We want to get as much as humanly possible, but the way up between Agi over strength doesn't seem that big in my mind. So I came up with 2 ideas, and that was AP or an Agi build. So AP is where most of it stays the same. If you want to pause in between these two, I will go in more depth in them in a minute. Agi is, of course, going in for a full Agi build, and with that, we're getting 4.31% crit with 240 attack power, sorry. Whereas if we go for an AP build, we're getting 274, but 2.61 crit. So I still think Agi is going to be the way to go. I didn't know if this lower level that going full attack power pieces or any attack power that you could find could be better. I think in comparison to like other bits of gear that you might find while leveling, don't write them off. I think AP can still just be good. It's just a raw stat. For example, if I go to this AP build here that I have, Heavy Earthen Gloves, 16 attack power. That would be 16 Agi or 16 strength normally. That's a lot of AP. And if you don't have any good gloves and you find something like that, then I say go for it. Like, you can craft them relatively easily. They're not difficult to make. So there's just an idea. Food for thought. Keep AP gear in mind. But at the same time, Agi, of course, main stat. You're still a hunter. So let's actually go into the proper pre-raid bits here. The first one is going to be an interesting one. A lot of people have been tossing around the idea of gnomish goggles, myself included. That's a mistake. You cannot get them at level 25 because you need to be an artisan engineer to get a specialization, which of course isn't possible. You can't train artisan at 25. So we're kind of in a bit of a rock and a hard place with Hunter when it comes to helmets, because the only real helm that we have that increases our damage is Humbert's helm, which is 8 stamina, 7 agility. There is ones that give spell power if you want to try do some kind of weird weaving to try get like range damage on your melee hunter build, but we're just assuming for this guide this is pure melee hunter here. So Humbert's helm is acquired by a Dungarok rifleman, which can only be killed by the Horde. It's kind of an issue. It's in the right hand side of South Shore. If I just let that load, you cannot kill these as Alliance, so that proves a bit of a problem here. What are we going to do on Alliance side if we cannot get Humbert's helm? Unless you have a Horde character on launch that you're farming with, I don't see that being a thing. These things, it's not really going to be doable on Alliance side. So if I was you and your Alliance, you're going to be going NG anyway, because why would you not? NG is just such a good profession to have. Just go for something like some flying tiger goggles or some shadow goggles. Just get the little bit of int, get the little bit of stam, whatever you want. Those will do you better than having nothing or just an Azure Silk hood. It's better than nothing. If you, for some reason, have a friend on Horde side who managed to get one of these, it's a really low drop rate, but not too bad, and they want to give it to you, then trade it over the neutral auction house, get yourself a Humbert's Helm. It's not bad. 7 agi, 8 stam. It's way better than anything else that you'll find. So yeah, if you can get a Humbert's Helm, get it. If not, go NG goggles. If you don't want to go NG, just buy an Azure Silk. There's not going to be much until we see what else drops from BFD. So neck pieces, until we see, of course, what drops from PvP event, what actually drops from the raid. Pre-raid Biss, it's just going to be whatever Tiger piece you can get your hands on. These are giving Agi and Strength. You'll see for a lot of this build, Agi and Strength, like Tiger Gear, is amazing. You're getting crit, but you're still getting the maximum amount of AP that you can get. If we just went for a 6 Agi neck, which is possible, as you can see here, if I go into it, 6 Agi is possible, but we can either have 2 extra AP and slightly less crit, which is very marginal at this level because of how crit scaling is for hunters. It makes a lot more sense just to go for Tiger Gear, depending on the armor piece. So we'll go into shoulders here, where of course you can't get Tiger, you can only get off Agi. So if you're of course real gamer and you want to go in RFK, it is possible you can get Mantle of Thieves. It's going to be really rare, but I don't know why you would do that on launch if you wanted to go straight for RFK after your BFD run and you don't get anything better. They are technically Biss. I wouldn't go out your way to farm for them though. If not, I would say if you get lucky with an agility item, go for it. If you've got super unlucky and you have no good shoulders, dark leather might be an option. They're not crazily difficult to craft. But again, I think that's more of a thing. Just take what you can get and go from there. With your cloak, parachute cloak, it's gonna be the Giga Gamer. Actually, just gonna double check. I'm not 100% sure if this is craftable. Actually, if so, I made a slight whoopsie again. I'm gonna check on the fly. I'm gonna make sure this is a thing that I'm 100% making sure. Parachute cloak. So it's a world drop. I thought you could get it. I apologize. If the recipe somehow drops, if someone manages to get it, right, then yeah, this 8 agi, it's gonna be insane. I don't see anyone getting this near launch. But if somehow through the power of just 10-man zerging mobs down in high level zones and you get the recipe, then yeah, technically speaking, is Biss. Most of the time though, just go Cape of the Brotherhood, right? You're gonna get it easily enough. Any agi cloak, even if you don't get that, glowing lizard scale also works. Whatever you really get, whatever works. They're all 6 agi. It'll be one of these two most likely. That will do you just fine. If you can get a parachute cloak, more power to you. On launch, I'd say probably Cape of the Brotherhood. Your chest piece, it's an easy choice. Tunic of Westfall. Any green that you're going to find at this level is also going to be 11 agi. This one's just giving you 5 stam more. So it comes from the quest on the Alliance side. If you're Horde, just go for a green. It's simple enough. Bracers, it's just going to be agi gear. There isn't really any other choices. Jurassic wrist guards, if you get them, are technically Biss because it's 5 agi 2 strength. You're getting 1 extra AP. You're losing that tiny amount of crit though. But again, it's up to your discrepancy. Just take what you can find. I'd say just go for agi. Weapon, again, getting fun. It's my favorite piece. Ancient Warsword on Alliance side, it's really easy. You know, you can't go wrong with it. 9 strength, 6 stam. Can't use Smite's Hammer, or that would probably be really good as a hunter. But I'd say Ancient Warsword or whatever else you can get. If you hit 25 and you want to make sure you have a nice weapon going into BFD, Ancient Warsword, it's easy enough to get. It's a simple quest. Just do the quest chain and you can get it. So moving on to gloves. Again, it's just going to be the same stuff. Tiger Gear is just good. Even Pilferer's gloves, which has more agi, that isn't going to beat 6 agi 6 strength. Like, the loss of crit that you're getting, the loss of crit that you're losing, just, it's nothing to the 6 AP that you're going to gain. So just Tiger Gear. Same with the belt. Tiger Gear is your way to go. It's just too good. 6 agi 6 strength on a melee hunter. Tiger Gear is just going to be good in general. There isn't really another option that is better than it. So you just go with what you can take. But I would say Tiger Gear, or just anything that has agi or strength, it doesn't really matter. Now for legs, Again, trip runners is a thing. You can go into Noma. You can accept the quest. On a light side, it is possible. Are you going to do that before BFD? No. If you want to try it after BFD and you want to try and get these legs, they'll probably end up being BIS for the phase. I don't see stuff being better than this for warriors, rogues, anyone who's using Agi as a primary stat. I see these things being BIS for, but getting them is going to be a real pain. So just go for leggings of the Fang. 5 strength, 9 agi. It's better than any agility gear that you're finding. So gaining the extra AP, you're gaining the strength. If you do get lucky, then Troll's Bane, they are technically, in theory, better. You're getting just raw agi instead of agi and strength. Same going for some reason, if someone decides to sell these from all the Noma runs where people are dying trying to get trip runners, it's technically better. 75 NG wouldn't be hard to have. But leggings of the Fang, it's going to be your go-to. Just go get them. It's not going to be too hard to farm. They're really good. Easy solution. For boots, it's just going to be agility gear. You don't really have another choice. If you get Feet of the Lynx, or they sell, or if you get really lucky, they are technically BIS, but all you're gaining is 3 strength. It's not worth how much they're going to cost. So again, just of agi or with strength, anything you can find, greens are going to be your best friends for this one. So for rings, as always, silver lanes, amazing ring. The other stuff that you're going to find is just expensive, or it's going to be hard to find, or something else like that. Just go for silver lanes, make your life easy enough to get, will last you into BFD. You should be good to go. For your second ring, I'd say just something of the Tiger, 4 strength, 4 agi. It works a charm. You can't go wrong with it. Again, take what you can get. Ideal BIS scenario, you're going to go for something with the Tiger. When it comes to trinkets, I think I've said this before, NG stuff, it's pretty simple. Goblin Mortars, Shrink Rays, whatever you want to use, really. And of course, you need to save a slot anyway for after BFD at the end. Most likely, the final boss is going to give one of those 3 trinkets that we saw in the announcement. Now, for ranged weapon, I said this in my previous guide, there's only one ranged weapon at this level that actually gives stats, and that is the Ranger Bow. It gives 1 agi. You're most likely not going to use a ranged weapon. In the event that you are using a ranged weapon, maybe as you're running in, you might want to pop off a quick arcane shot, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe if you want to do some kind of weaving. Then, of course, Raptor's End is really easy to get. It's super simple. It's a guaranteed quest reward on the Alliance side. Just go do the quest in Wetlands. Really simple. But if you do have the money and you are just so dedicated that you want to have every extra bit of damage you can as a melee hunter, then just go for the Ranger Bow. But it's really not going to make that big of a difference. 1 agi is not going to change everything. But if you need it and you really want it and you want to be pushing that extra mile, then yeah, see if you can get your hands on a Ranger Bow. If not, go for a Raptor's End or just whatever else you can get if you want to stay dedicated to melee. Or anything else you can find, really, if you are dedicated to trying some form of weaving. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit better than my Warrior one. I've been trying to do a lot more research and looking into this stuff and reading into class discords. I've been finding it really fun looking into Season of Discovery. I think all the ideas that people are having are super cool. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all the people in the comments on my previous video. You guys really supportive. I really appreciate it. And your ideas were really cool to look at. And it really made me think about Warrior in a different way. So yeah. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever you're doing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.